now, here are your hosts, Janet Hickox and Roger Wetzel.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Empower You Media. My name is Janet Hickox, and with me today is my sidekick, Roger Wetzel. Hello, Roger.
Hi, Janet. Are you sure you're Janet today?
No, I'm not sure who I am today. It's the wind. Is it windy at your house?
Yes, it's good to be here.
Yeah, it is good to be here. I'm glad to be inside, and
Yes.
I'm glad to be warm and dry, although I'm not sure it's raining today, but it's been really kind of weird here.
Yes. I don't think it's raining yet.
No.
Later.
But I think the weather is sort of mirroring what's going on with all of us as individuals. As in, your life has been sort of crazy. Things have been kind of crazy for me. Amy, our guest today, has your life been sort of crazy? Please tell me. You're probably the only one who's had it calm, right?
It's funny listening to you and Roger talk earlier, and it's like, oh, well, I can be the little vessel holding the calmness for you, because the last few days have been great. 2 weeks ago, much more difficult, but right now things are good.
Timing is everything, right?
Excellent.
But I think this is a really good way to open our show today, because our topic today is about meditation, and a specific type of meditation that we will be getting into called compassionate balance meditation, which is a form of the Sum thought meditation. Is that right? Is that right? So it's similar. So we're going to get into talking about maybe how when life gets the kind of crazy it's been for us and you get thrown those curveballs, how maybe there's a process that can bring us back to calmness and balance and peace. All right. So let's start with that. So today I'd like to introduce you to Amy Colvin. She's a friend of mine and is also a very powerful meditation type person on her own, and also a massage therapist. So I'm going to read you a bit of her bio. Hold on just a minute here. Amy Colvin first discovered compassion meditation in 1996 via a style called Sum thought, a blend of Taoism, Buddhism, and Confucianism. She was immediately attracted to the movement and energy-oriented components of this style of meditation. Rather than being expected to sit in stillness, students are encouraged to connect with their own internal wisdom and internal energy, and through the process of harmonizing with that energy, movement may arise. This free-flowing movement shares space with stillness and seated meditation, as well as formal movement practices of Qigong, Mudra, and walking meditation. By cultivating all these forms of connection with self, profound transformation may occur. Amy is currently employed as a massage therapist at Google and began facilitating meditation for Google employees in 2011. In June of 2013, she was invited to create a post for the Google official blog discussing her facilitation of meditation in the workplace. And in 2015, her workplace meditation classes were highlighted in the book Work Rules by Laszlo Block. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
I'm sure all of our listeners are going to be really interested now in how Google has massage therapists that work for them. Tell us about that.
Okay, sure. So as far as I know, Google is one of the very few companies that actually has employee massage therapists. So some of us that work there are employees and some are on temporary contracts. But the way it works essentially is that and I happen to be an employee, and I work percent full-time, so I work 3 days a week. And then the Googlers just have an opportunity to use our scheduling tool to book time with me or any of the other massage therapists. And it's a fabulous, fabulous service. And interestingly, in the process of being a massage therapist I've been there for 11 years. Mm-hmm. And what I have noticed is that people in general are often very stressed out. That's a big part of why they come to see me. Or the stress is what's causing their muscular tension or possibly even contributing to repetitive strain injuries. And as much as I absolutely love the hands-on work, what I realized is that what makes my heart really happy is trying to help people help themselves. So I wanted to put together a way where I could hand off tools and techniques and say, just try these on and see if they work for you. And then from there, you can use those yourself to reduce your stress, to increase your self-acceptance and acceptance of others, and so on.
Kind of as support in between the massages.
Yeah, yeah, and just even ideally, people will be. I mean, without a doubt, bodies all need touch, and that's actually a huge component of compassion. Is that expression of touch to each other, to friends and loved ones, and receiving that. But I really am excited about the idea of helping people be comfortable in their bodies and their hearts and their minds without having to rely on someone else like me.
Yeah.
So how long, what's the difference you've seen over the last 5 years when you first went to work for Google, and what is it now, the acceptance of what you do and what you're teaching?
Oh, interesting. Google has a huge push towards mindfulness meditation. And so every campus, many campuses, not every campus, many campuses around the world have daily meditation gatherings. At this point, I'm not directly involved with that, but mindfulness meditation is absolutely, spreading and supported within the Google culture. What I teach, some thought, is a little bit different, and the way I present it. So, and I'm not doing it currently, but when I was before, what I would do was a 30-minute session. And at the time, I worked in Fremont, Seattle on Mondays and in Kirkland on Tuesdays, and I would do, 30 minutes in each place. And then my Wednesdays, I would do it online. So I also teach online, and I found it to be really effective. And with that 30 minutes, what we would do is start out doing a 12 pose Qigong series, standing. And then we would drop into a seated meditation called a mudra meditation, where there's 16 different hand postures that we would go through, and that would pretty much fill up that entire half hour. And we actually will have an opportunity at the very end of this interview today to do the mudra meditation. So I hope that all the listeners will have a chance to, stick with us throughout that time, or check back with that last segment, because we'll do a style, or we'll give an example of it there. But what I found, now that I'm not teaching those so much in the moment, people come up to me and they say, hey, when are you going to start those again? Because they like that movement. They like that sense of connecting both with their heart and with their bodies at the same time.
Yeah. Now, how did you get from the massage therapy into meditation? What prompted that move? Was it because you saw a need, or were you already experiencing meditation yourself?
Well, I have already been meditating. I started meditating in 1996. Mm-hmm. And what I realized, what the catalyst was my desire to teach. So in 2011, finally, that desire to teach became so great that I just put on my confidence hat and said, okay, I'm going to go out there and do this. Just do it. Just absolutely. And, I talked to a student. I have two teachers. One's named Leong and the other's named Meg. And there's been a longtime student of Leong's named Tom. And I talked to him one day, and I knew that he'd been studying transcendental meditation for 20 years, and then he had studied with Leong for 20 years. I asked him what he found the difference was, and he said, TM was great for lowering my blood pressure, helping me calm my mind, but there was absolutely no heart in it. And when I met the teacher and started studying with the teacher, that's when I really was beginning to open my heart wide. So anyway, I knew that Tom he taught at University of Tennessee, meditation at University of Tennessee. So I called him up and said, how do I do this? And he said to me so graciously and so simply, he said, just follow your heart and you'll do the right thing. And so that's how I ended up teaching. And then over the years, teaching at Google was lovely, but I wanted to build it and expand it even more. Mm-hmm. And part of the Some Thought world, that style of meditation, it's passed down from teacher to student in Southeast Asia. And so the way Leong teaches and the way Meg teaches, it's very much, okay, now just do it. And that Western mind that so many of us, including me, have says, well, but why? Or how? Or what does this mean? And pretty much the response was always, just do it. So I tried teaching in that style. I started teaching Some Thought, and I found that style didn't resonate with me very well. So I thought, okay, I really want to teach. I really want to teach this stuff because I find it to be very powerful. How do I do that? And then as I would, and I put that intention out for a while. And as I'm sure both you, Janet, and both you, Roger, know, sometimes it just takes time for things to arise organically.
Yep.
But I put the intention out, and I knew I didn't really have any interest in learning how to teach mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, because my sense of it was that it's very mental based. Let's help you reduce your blood pressure. Let's help you reduce your stress. But it wasn't really heartfelt. So a year or so later, I found out that Stanford had actually put together a course that it was called Compassion Cultivation Training. And so I looked into that. I looked into the teacher training program and had to wait another year before I could enroll in their next round of teacher training, got into that program. And so I'm now a fully certified facilitator at Stanford's Compassion Cultivation Training. And that is what it really created for me a sense of structure. I mean, one of the biggest takeaways for me out of going through that teacher training program was learning how to well structure classes so that people could understand and that people were gaining value. So instead of just say, okay, let's meditate and just do this, we have a little bit of meditation, we have a theme that we work with each week, and we have a little bit of guided discussion around that pulls in current psychology, contemporary research, and then we break into pairs or small groups and do some exercises around the theme of the week, and then we end with a 20-minute or so meditation. So having that structure has really helped form the basis of what I'm teaching. And what I teach now is actually a departure from Stanford's program because I wanted to roll the things that were near and dear to my heart, which is some thought meditation, into what I teach. And Stanford is really interested in having their compassion cultivation training teachers teach exactly to the standards that they've written, which makes total sense because they're still doing research. And so they want to be able to do research to show the efficacy of compassion meditation.
So if you could compare them side by side, the Samfat and the compassion meditation, I mean, I'm guessing that the biggest difference is that there's something heart-centered about the compassionate one, but what are the maybe the technical differences between the two?
So both the Stanford program and what I teach are very heart-centered. So they both focus on compassion. And the definition of compassion that they use that I really like, and this is what I have adopted and because it makes sense to me, is that compassion basically arises from 3 prongs. The first prong is simply the awareness of someone else's or your own distress. So the first piece of it, you have to be aware of something that's going on. The second component is that you need to be emotionally moved by your awareness of that distress. And oftentimes that's where empathy kicks in. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that your dog died. I empathize with that. But the third step then of compassion is actually making a choice to take action. And that action could be as simple as me sitting here in my room and sending well wishes out to both of you. Or it could be as direct as, me going with you to the Humane Society to pick out a new puppy. And by the way, Janet's dog did not die, nor did Roger's, as far as I know.
But that's a common thing that we experience as humans that really breaks our hearts.
Right, right. So all of that is compassion oriented. Now, the difference between what I teach and what compassion cultivation training might be is that a big essence of Samfat meditation is connecting with that internal wisdom, that divine within. You can call it whatever you want, the God self, the Jesus self, universal energy, whatever resonates with you, but the recognition that there's some sort of divine within, connecting with that. And the Stanford program is completely secular, so there's no acknowledgement of any sort of divine or any sort of thing greater than self in their curriculum.
No higher power.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
It's just not discussed. It's not negated, but it's not discussed.
Mm-hmm.
So with some thought, you connect with that, but also part of the process is as we connect, we also, as human beings, we're energetic beings, and we begin to connect with our own internal energy or life force or chi, whatever word you want to use to define that. And in the process of connecting with our own life force, that internal energy, we can begin to allow ourselves to have movement come into our meditation. So rather than sitting in stillness, suddenly you might spontaneously end up moving your hands in some way, or spontaneously you might end up kind of swaying a little bit, or whatever movement is right for your body. And the thing is, it's not coming from the brain. It's not the brain saying, okay, now sway. It's setting the brain aside, connecting with the heart, connecting with that internal energy, and allowing that internal energy and that divine wisdom to move your body in whatever way it needs to move. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's really big. And the key component that comes with that is it's a very healing process. So, and stop me anytime if I am getting off track or you have questions.
No, this is great.
Okay.
This is great stuff.
But so this style of meditation came out of Southeast Asia, and it's largely Taoist in nature, as you mentioned, Janet. I mean, it does have some Buddhist and some Confucianism rolled in there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go to Southeast Asia, you'll find all kinds of temples for all kinds of purposes. You could go to the temple of fertility. You could go to the temple of the winning lottery numbers. You could go to a temple for health and healing. And that's where this tradition comes down from. It's a temple and an organization that focuses on health and healing. And the essence of how that healing comes about is through this idea of movement. So, and in Malaysia, the temples that do this kind of meditation are called Chi Chung temples. So if you went to a Chi Chung temple in Malaysia or somewhere else in Southeast Asia, rather than seeing people in seated meditation, you would see everyone moving in what might appear to be Qigong or Tai Chi, but no one is following the same form as the other people near them. They're just moving from a desire, from their own body's natural desire,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. So we need to take a break right now, and I want to get a little bit more into this different style of meditation that we've been taught here in the West. So we'll be right back, and stay with us.